Before diving into complex discussions, let's begin with understanding a fundamental concept. What is masturbation? At its simplest, it refers to the act of self-stimulation, most often of one's own body, for personal comfort, emotional regulation, or exploration. While often discussed in hushed tones or avoided entirely, it is in fact one of the most universally practiced human behaviors. It transcends age, gender, and cultural boundaries. But why does this seemingly simple act evoke such a wide spectrum of feelings, from curiosity and comfort to guilt and confusion? Let's explore that together. Why do people engage in this behavior? There is no one-size-fits-all answer. The reasons people engage in self-stimulation are as diverse as human beings themselves. For many, it is a form of self-discovery, a way to understand how their body works, how it reacts, and what makes it feel comforted or relaxed. Others turn to this behavior as a tool for stress relief. Life in today's world can be overwhelming. Between work pressures, family demands, social expectations, and the constant stream of digital stimulation, people seek quick and personal ways to decompress. This behavior can offer a moment of solitude and emotional reset. Some individuals report that it helps improve their mood. Why? Because the human body responds with the release of chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, the feel-good hormones, which can create temporary feelings of joy, relaxation, and emotional connection. However, as with any human behavior, the context in which it's practiced matters greatly. The science behind it, what happens in the body? To understand the deeper mechanics, let's turn to science. When a person engages in this activity, a cascade of physiological responses occurs within the body. The brain, which is the most powerful organ involved in this process, releases a cocktail of chemicals. Endorphins that help relieve pain and induce pleasure. Dopamine, which governs reward and motivation. Oxytocin, the hormone associated with bonding and trust. Together, these create a state of temporary euphoria and deep relaxation. Some people report a sense of clarity or emotional reset after the experience. This response can have positive effects on the body. Improved blood circulation, especially in the pelvic region. Reduction in cortisol levels, which helps in managing stress. For women, it may help with alleviating menstrual discomfort. Some people even notice better sleep quality afterward, due to the calming hormonal environment. But here's a critical point: moderation matters. Just like with food, exercise, or screen time, too much of something, even a natural and benign act, can lead to imbalance. Physical and emotional benefits. When practiced in a balanced and mindful way, self-stimulation can contribute to overall well-being. Let's highlight a few of these benefits. Improved sleep. The sense of calm following hormonal release can make it easier to fall asleep. For people who struggle with insomnia or restless nights, this can be a valuable aid. Enhanced mood. The release of dopamine and oxytocin has been shown to have an antidepressant-like effect. In small doses, it may serve as a tool to combat anxiety and elevate mood, especially during emotionally difficult periods. Greater body awareness. Learning how your body responds can empower individuals to take better care of themselves. This awareness extends beyond mere physical sensations. It can nurture a more accepting relationship with one's body. Emotional regulation. For many, this behavior can be a coping mechanism to deal with frustration, sadness, or even loneliness. When used consciously, it can serve as a form of emotional self-care. Yet, like any coping mechanism, it's important to ask, am I using this to truly care for myself, or am I escaping something deeper? When it becomes too much. Understanding the risks. While this act is generally considered natural and healthy in moderation, excessive reliance can tip the scales from beneficial to problematic. Let's explore the potential downsides, both physical and emotional. Physical considerations. Irritation or sensitivity. Repeated stimulation without sufficient recovery time can lead to temporary skin discomfort or sensitivity. It's a sign from the body that it needs rest. Fatigue. Overstimulation can sometimes cause tiredness or reduced energy levels. While it may offer a quick mood boost, too much of it might leave you feeling more drained than revived. Desensitization. Constant overstimulation may dull the body's natural responses. This is not necessarily permanent, but it may take time for sensitivity and balance to return. Emotional and psychological impact. Dependency. When used as the primary tool to handle boredom, stress, loneliness, or emotional discomfort, this behavior may evolve into an unhealthy habit. Like emotional eating or excessive screen time, it can mask deeper unmet needs. Guilt or shame. Cultural and religious teachings around self-touch vary widely. In some environments, people are raised to feel guilty about this behavior, even if their actions are harmless. These feelings can lead to emotional conflict, decreased self-esteem, and a fractured self-image. These consequences are not inevitable, nor are they insurmountable. With greater awareness and honest reflection, balance can be restored. How it can affect relationships. One important question is how this behavior intersects with relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or familial. The answer is nuanced. In healthy amounts, self-stimulation does not inherently damage relationships. In fact, it may improve personal confidence, which can enhance one's ability to connect authentically with others. However, challenges can arise if it becomes a substitute for connection. If someone begins to isolate, or prioritizes this behavior over spending time with loved ones, attending to responsibilities, or addressing emotional needs, it may create distance and tension in their relationships. A partner may feel neglected or confused, especially if communication is lacking. Emotional transparency is essential in maintaining trust and closeness. Ultimately, it's not the behavior itself that causes harm, but the emotional patterns surrounding it. Cultivating mindfulness and balance. So how do we navigate this behavior in a way that is healthy, educational, and empowering? Start by asking yourself some reflective questions. Am I using this to connect with myself or to escape something difficult? Do I feel better afterward, or more emotionally numb? Is this behavior interfering with my goals, routines, or relationships? Could I explore other tools for emotional regulation, like journaling, exercise, or conversation? Developing a practice of mindfulness around this behavior can transform it from something that is impulsive or guilt-ridden into a conscious act of self-awareness. It becomes not a habit of hiding, but a window into who you are and how you care for yourself. When balanced, it can be a source of physical relief, emotional clarity, and body awareness. When excessive, it may signal areas of life that need attention and compassion, not judgment. When habits shape connection, relationships, and emotional distance. While self-soothing behaviors don't inherently damage relationships, they can sometimes act as a signal, a quiet call from within that something might be unbalanced. When solo routines begin to take precedence over shared experiences, the effects can be subtle but powerful. Isolation. One of the first signs is often emotional distancing. What starts as a habit of comfort can, over time, replace meaningful moments with others. Partners might notice a change. Less time spent talking, less interest in doing things together. This emotional withdrawal can lead to feelings of loneliness, not just in the partner, but within the individual themselves. People might feel together but alone, unsure of how to reconnect. Disconnection. In some cases, there's a drop in emotional intimacy. When personal habits become frequent, the desire to emotionally invest in a relationship may decrease. For couples, this can lead to a sense of loss, a longing for the closeness that once came naturally. In friendships and family ties, the effect may be a reduced willingness to open up or engage deeply. Communication barriers. discussing personal behavior can feel awkward. It may carry an undertone of shame, secrecy, or embarrassment. But these conversations are often the key to deeper connection. Avoiding them can lead to unspoken misunderstandings, assumptions, and silent resentment. The takeaway is not to blame the behavior itself, but to look at what it might be covering up. Is it helping you cope, or is it helping you avoid? The influence of media, the distortion of reality. Another element to consider in this conversation is the presence of digital media and content consumption, especially the kind that promotes unrealistic ideas about human connection and affection. Though it may offer momentary stimulation or entertainment, over time it can alter perceptions in subtle and damaging ways. Unrealistic expectations. Many types of visual media exaggerate emotional and physical connections, depicting people as flawless and encounters as ideal. These portrayals often ignore emotional nuance, communication, and vulnerability. When consumed regularly, they can create a disconnect between reality and expectation, making real-life relationships seem less exciting or more difficult. Reduced satisfaction. When people become desensitized to real experiences and begin comparing them to stylized versions from a screen, they may report diminished emotional satisfaction. This shift can affect both single individuals and those in relationships. People may start to feel bored, disconnected, or restless, even when surrounded by genuine affection and care. Patterns that are hard to break. Over time, repeated exposure to emotionally shallow or exaggerated content can build habitual cycles that are difficult to interrupt. It becomes a fallback, something the brain craves, not for its depth, but for its immediacy. This can interfere with personal growth, emotional intimacy, and authentic living. The antidote is not necessarily total avoidance, but awareness. When a person becomes conscious of how media shapes their feelings, they can take steps to reground themselves in reality. Warning signs: when habits cross a line. How can you tell if a personal routine has grown into something unhealthy? It often happens gradually. What began as self-care may evolve into a compulsion, especially when emotions are ignored or unmet. Here are some red flags that it may be time to step back and reassess. Neglecting responsibilities, missing deadlines, skipping class, or procrastinating work due to emotional habits signals a loss of balance. Withdrawing from loved ones, choosing solo activities over time with friends, family, or a partner, even when you crave connection. Emotional numbness, feeling indifferent, disconnected, or hollow after engaging in the habit, rather than relieved or soothed. Lack of control, wanting to stop or slow down but finding it hard to do so, which can lead to a cycle of guilt or frustration. Persistent shame or distress, feeling trapped in a behavior you can't explain, one that leaves you feeling worse rather than better. If any of these resonate with you, you are not alone. These are signs not of weakness, but of being human. They point to unmet needs that deserve compassion and attention, not judgment. What the experts say: insights from female physicians and therapists. Medical and mental health professionals, especially women who work in emotional and relational health, have much to say about personal habits and their deeper significance. According to these experts, context matters more than frequency. A behavior that's part of a larger routine of emotional care, curiosity, and relaxation is generally considered healthy. But when that same behavior becomes a way to escape connection, pain, or responsibility, it can turn into a symptom of something deeper. As one therapist puts it, it's not about how often you engage in the habit. It's about why you do it, and how you feel afterward. Doctors and mental health experts consistently highlight that emotional well-being is deeply tied to self-awareness. Shame often exacerbates the problem, while education and self-compassion promote healing. Emotional patterns can be changed, not by force, but by substituting healthier coping mechanisms and seeking support when needed. Finding the middle path. Tips for reclaiming balance. If you're beginning to question whether your personal habits serve your best self, that's already a powerful first step. Awareness creates space for change. Here are some practical, compassionate strategies to help restore emotional and behavioral balance. 1. Set gentle limits. Instead of making harsh rules, reflect on what feels balanced. Consider questions like, does this help me feel whole? Or, is this a habit I'm proud of? Choose boundaries that support growth, not punishment. 2. Rediscover joyful activities. Find ways to spend your time that feed your soul. Whether it's painting, reading, dancing, gardening, journaling, or going for walks, creative and mindful outlets can offer the same comfort, without the emotional consequences. 3. Connect with people. Real-life conversations, laughter, and eye contact provide irreplaceable emotional warmth. Spend time with those who make you feel seen. Reach out, even when it feels easier to retreat. 4. Practice emotional check-ins. Ask yourself regularly, what am I feeling right now? Naming emotions helps process them. You can write them down, meditate on them, or talk about them with someone you trust. 5. Create rituals for healing. Replace unhealthy patterns with rituals that calm your nervous system. This might include breathwork, lighting a candle while you reflect, sipping tea slowly, or stretching with intention. Small rituals anchor you to your inner peace. 6. Educate yourself. Knowledge dissolves shame. The more you understand human behavior, the more you'll realize how normal your struggles are. Learning turns confusion into clarity. 7. Seek support when needed. There's incredible strength in asking for help. Therapists, counselors, or support groups can offer guidance tailored to your journey. They're not there to judge, they're there to walk with you. A loving reminder. Life is not about perfection. It's about movement, learning, and healing. Our habits, especially the quiet ones, often carry messages from the parts of ourselves that don't know how to speak in words. They show us where we hurt, what we long for, and what still needs attention. When we slow down and listen, we realize that even our most complicated behaviors come from a desire to feel safe, connected, and whole. Your relationship with yourself is the foundation for every other connection in your life. Treat it with the tenderness you would give a friend, a child, or someone you love dearly. You deserve peace. You deserve balance. And you have the power to find it, one step, one question, one moment of honesty at a time. Thank you for watching Interesting Stories of Moody Tales. Kindly like, subscribe and share to get more interesting and educative stories that's much better than this. Best wishes from here. Have a nice day.